This is Coding Rook recording. Hello guys, welcome to the 12th developers video. This is going to be a short summary of what I've done just a bit earlier during a stream of mine. You will remember that I was experiencing some problems with my trigger platform when I was working on it, and then stepping off. The door reaction and the platform spring up reaction were not very immediate. I got to the bottom of it, a very simple thing actually. What the problem was that in the timelines, I didn't notice that the default length of the timeline was 5 seconds, even though it was specifying keyframes between 0 and 1. And I thought because those two were the only keyframes that I keyed, that the whole length was 1 second, but it wasn't. It was 5 seconds for both. And reversing in between the 2 points was fine, but if I was staying for too long, the counter, I guess the time counter kept ticking, I suppose, past 1 second towards 5 seconds, and then the reversal, when I was stepping off, it was obviously taking longer. But as soon as I matched my length with the last keyframe in each case, then the movement effect is better now. As soon as I step off, we have immediate reversal. And you can hear the sound effect as well. Now, the other thing that I did was I created a Apple spawner volume so that we can feed this lovely guy here, which my viewers affectionately named as Bucky Roberts. Now, this is just a simple spawning actor volume. Let's see, I put it under game framework. It may not belong there. But basically it is a way for me to spawn apples. If I can just demonstrate what happens if we move close by. You can see apples are dropping, hopefully. That can be shown. If I can increase the screen size, there you go. We dropped an apple, which I can grab if I want to, and they disappear after 5 seconds, and more of them keep spawning. And I could have done it with just a simple, spawn actor and then destroy actor, but I decided to sharpen my programming skills and kind of using Unreal for these type of things. So I just decided to do an actor pool. So if I can just demonstrate in Visual Studio how that looked. It was a little bit more challenging in Blueprint, and I just found it a lot easier in code, to be honest. So basically I created a component, an actor component, called it actor pool, with basic functionality for checkouts and check-ins. I return the pool size. It's a T array of actor pointers basically, and the implementation is just a simple, type of thing where you pop and you push in the stack. And then if we go back to Blueprint, actually what I've done is, let me just see where that component lives in my Chrono game instance, just because I don't think this technically belongs in a game instance. I don't know, it's not meant to be a thing that persists across all levels and during the entire game, but just because I had created my custom game instance, and I wanted kind of like a more global scope for this. I did the lazy thing and just stuck it in here for now. And so, there's an Apple pool in-game instance, and I just create a default sub-object. I don't inherit in Blueprint for the game instance yet, but theoretically, if I do, I would also be able to see it from there because it's a new property. I might have I haven't included a getter yet, but that could also be arranged. But in any case, so yeah, that helps me kind of access it that way. I could have done it under the level blueprint, but I'm trying to avoid working with level blueprints at the moment. In any case, the Apple spawner basically, at a begin play, sets an event, a timer, which is to spawn apples, and we just grab the game instance, we grab the apple pool, and then all we say is that if it's an empty pool, then we can create anything from it or use or recycle anything from it. We just have to go and spawn new apples, which is what I'm doing here. And there's some conditional checks here. Like I said, if we have an empty pool size, that means we just have to create one. However, I also have a max apples variable here, just to keep things at check. This is not meant to be a very demanding thing on the system. I mean, I'm not talking about spawning thousands of enemies or something, or particles or whatever. It's just a simple thing. I could have totally gotten away with just spawning and destroying a dozen apples every minute or so or whatever, but I don't suspect it would have had any impact on on the performance. But I just decided, like I said, to practice the concept of using actor pools, and especially just kind of implementing in C++, which I like to use as much as I can. So anyway, if we're set to go, we can spawn the apple. The apple spawner in the viewport is just literally a box collision, and I just use that to basically get a random point in the box, transform it into the world location, and just say, pick a random point in that box and spawn an apple. And the apple counter just increases, obviously increments. And then if we do have apples available in the pool size, then we'll just go ahead and check them out. What happens is, obviously before we get to that stage, once the spawned apples get spawned, I call them, and I've just called an event or a function in their own blueprint in BP Apple, go live your life. And literally what this does is, it's an event, a custom event. It delays according to the lifespan that I've determined in the Apple spawner. In my case, I think it's 5 seconds. The apple lives for 5 seconds, and then it kind of sort of simulates death in a way and removed from the world, but it technically not. It becomes hidden. We stop simulating physics, and I just move it all the way to the, I guess, origin of the world. I may have to think about like a container for those apples as a holding place, but I think as long as I stop simulating physics and I hide them and make sure that they're kind of in a place far from the player. In this case, I think the origin is just like literally below the floor on this level, so it works for now. So, that's how they die and they get removed. And then, we get the game instance again very easily. That's why I chose to stick that in there, because I didn't want to have references between Apple and Apple Spawner to make sure that I can call from each other. I felt like something with a global scope. I could have done it on in the level blueprint, like I said, but I need to kind of further my understanding about level blueprints a little bit more before I do that. Like I said, I had the game instance in hand anyway, so I just did that. So I get hold of the Apple pool, and I say, you know, check this guy into the pool after the apple lives and dies. And so, you know, the spawner completes that task in, you know, in this part of the code. Otherwise, you know, every 5 seconds it's going to continue, and if indeed there is something that is already checked into the pool, then we just go and check it out again, and we just reverse the process. So obviously we make sure that it's an apple, there's nothing else in there anyway, that's why it's a pure cast in this case. And then all we do is reverse the settings, and we make them visible to the world, we simulate physics again, and once again we set a random transform based on that. There might be a way for me to kind of reuse this thing. I found it, I think there was a bug when I was linking out of the same bunch of nodes here, so I just decided to copy paste and make it its own thing here. And yeah, and once that's done, then same thing, live your life once again. I could probably consider linking that over here actually instead. Let me just try and do that now. Probably makes more sense to just say do that. No. The reason why I kept them separate is because they have a different target. They have a different target, and I cannot do both unless maybe I split between the two apple targets I need to go in here as inputs. Anyway, so I think this is fine. I think this is fine the way I have it. So yeah, and that creates the effect of having random apples spawning. Don't know if I mentioned, but I have them on a bit of a random timer. Over here, I pick a random float and I have a maximum spawn delay, so it can be up to that spawn delay in seconds, but it could be a lot sooner. But they all have a fixed lifespan, and it kind of simulates the effect, I think, more or less accurately. Oh, I didn't hit possess. There you go. Apples fall, and after a while they just die and move away, and we can never have more than the maximum that I have set in the blueprint, which I have tested with like 10 apples at a time or something like that. But in any case, and so the idea is that this guy at some point will have logic, and he will go after the apples and try to eat them. So this is it. There will be, I'm guessing, a stream soon of me trying to implement some animal AI and some logic there. I will be streaming it. I may record it, otherwise I will be producing a summary video of that as well. Thanks for following. I hope this was interesting. Hit me up with any questions or comments. Subscribe to the channel. Also follow me on Twitch with with my progress there. Coding Rook again is my account. And yeah, I hope you found this interesting and useful. I will see you soon.